Hey, what is up, humans? It's your favorite demon, Raze Silva, and somewhat back. Might do a whole video explaining what's going on, but hey, you know, until then, we got another depressed Nousagi video. Been kind of building up what I want to react to because I was starting to run out. So we got some good ones, and this is the VTuber who saved Hololive. And judging by what the thumbnail was, I'm going to assume this is Fubuki. I don't know a lot about Fubuki. I know only a couple of things. So this ought to be a learning experience for me. As always, original video will be in the description. That should be a given at this point. So with that being said,
どうするみたいな感じになってた時が本当にいましたね。今までは本当に手探り感でやってきて、どうにかね、ホロライブっていうものがなくならないように。やっぱり吹雪は今ホロライブのトップだからって言われて、いやでもみんな一番なんだよなって思いながらも、ような数字に負けたくないなっていうのがそうすごくて、いやそんなん関係ねえよ。
if I remember correctly, I think her and Korone were kind of alternating being like the top girls for a while, and then Gura kind of showed up. Now, like, they're still very much at the top, but they're, a couple of the other ones have kind of overtaken them a little bit. But I mean, hey, like, think it's been kind of interesting to watch.
バカ野郎っていうね、二人がね、おかっぽろを連れてきたんよ。
そうそうそう。
それでゲーマーズになったんよ。
あ、そうなんだ。なるほどね。そうだからポケーって入ってきて今こんなになりました。
So I always forget the order for gamers. I know Mio was the first one. It was Mio, and then I forget if it was she either knew. I forget if it was Korone or Okayu that she knew, and then but whoever it was knew the other one. So that's how and that's more or less how gamers kind of turned into a thing.
ポケポケ系
でかくなっちまったな、ずいぶんな。
ねえ、ありがとうございます本当に。
やっぱそのこっちからしたらやっぱりなんかおさみたいな。わかる。
ふるちゃんがもう頼りがいがありすぎて、
そう
チームリーダーだったんだよね。完全に。
しかもやっぱゲーマーズの
そうだね。
やっぱりね、白神吹雪様だし、
自分倒れたら一番良くないよなっていうのは自分で自覚してるので、私は倒れちゃいけないなっていう、そうホロライブで立っとかなきゃいけない白神吹雪はっていうところが。
There are many important figures in old VTubing. We've covered Tsukino Mito in passing, the Nijisanji VTuber that revolutionized the industry. We've covered Kiryu Koko, the Hololive VTuber that bridged East and West. We've covered Yago, Iron Mouse, Tokinosora, Myth. These are all people that made many great and grand industry-wide contributions to VTubing. But what about those that contributed in a smaller, more local scale? Those who poured their blood and sweat and tears in places that almost died, stepped up to take care of other VTubers around them when they themselves needed the same sort of help. Someone who chose their beliefs and community when confronted with a fierce, almost career-breaking opposition. There are many like this, each deserves.
I will say that might be about the only thing I know about Fubuki, because I know Fubuki was one of I know Fubuki made West Taiwan angry when I'm gonna get so much shit for that. I know she made them angry when she stood by Coco during that whole thing. I know that she's been she constantly helping like gamers and a lot of like early gens early on. So I do know that much about Fubuki, but that's more kind of it.
Serving a story of their own. waiting
Oh, and of course, the Scatman meme.
to be told. If not me, then by someone else. But right now, there's one I want to highlight, and it's been a long time coming. I've made many an appreciation and history video regarding Hololive and their recent happenings, but never Fubuki herself, even though she has always been one of the prime candidates to make a video around. The main reason why that was because I was afraid that I couldn't cover her as well as she deserves to. Perhaps there are fans out there that knew a lot more than me, fans that loved her more than I did, somebody else that could perhaps do this video justice, but regardless if there is or there isn't, I still wanted to try, and this is that attempt. I wish to challenge all Fubuki fans who watch this to contribute in their own.
I mean, in all honesty, like props to Nosagi for like going for it, but honestly, I feel like other than maybe Rima, there's not really a whole lot of content creators out there that I think would probably do as good a job. Like even if like, and I don't know a lot about Fubuki like either. I probably know even less than Nosagi does. In fact, I know for a fact I know less than Nosagi does. But honestly, like I feel like he's gonna do like this video is gonna be fantastic either way because there hasn't been a single one of these that Nosagi has done that hasn't been like a home run.
Own way in the comment section, whether by a clip, a short story, or a moment that captures her character and role. This is a story of a VTuber that saved Hololive. This is the story of Shirakami Fubuki. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. For the case of Fubuki, all of this would be true except the very first one. Because when she got into Hololive, the first generation Fubuki debuted in was soured by a scandal that was Hitome Chris's termination. Originally, there was supposed to be 6 members of Hololive's first gen, but the story of Hitome Chris is actually one that is already been made by me. Link will be in the description or at the end of the video. In any case, while that scandal put Cover and the first gen in a difficult situation, it actually did not matter all that much because the first generation and even the second generation did not have that unity and cohesiveness that a lot of newer VTuber generations have now. It's very easy to look at the recent generations of both Nijisanji and Hololive and think that it used to be like that, or that was normal. The reality is that it wasn't.
I think I've said this in a previous video that Hololive didn't actually like really take off until Gen 3. Gen 3 I think was the first time they actually like started like debuting talents like around like the same like within like a close time frame, so it actually felt like they were a unit.
Previous generations were separated from each other. It was the same set of struggles and how close they debuted within each other that allowed them to be close, but not really even having that senpai-kohai dynamic that we know now. But it didn't feel like the type of generation that we know them as. Not even a circle, more so strictly.
See, ironically, the clip you play, like that's what they're talking about. Like Gen 1 and Gen 2 were kind of like, I think there was like a bunch of time like between each one's debut, and they were kind of all on their own. Like Gen 3 was just kind of, nope, we are one basically.
Colleagues that was in the same group that had the same goals, ambitions, and problems. Like when your teacher groups you up with the classmates you don't know or aren't close with for a project. Adding the extra context that this was a new company and that there was no set precedents, aside from those made by Kizuna Ai, it's very easy for anybody to get lost. Heck, even Kizuna Ai didn't know what to do during her peak popularity either. Faced with being unmonetized and low motivation, not knowing what to do or even what to do with other people, it was bad. And in the words of Fubuki herself, even managers did not know what to do. Some members, like Aki, didn't even know how to stream. Some members were alien to each other. And in a situation like that, it's very easy to just leave. Try again another time or wait for somebody to step up. But one did step up. And that was Fubuki. In every generation of VTubers, at least in the traditional sense, those that step up often assume the role of the leader. Sometimes their charisma, their dedication to not just their craft but to those around them,
Hey.
often makes it so that they become a figurehead even beyond their generation. We saw this in figures like Ryokoko, and the case could be seen in Shirakami Fubuki. Her influence and helpfulness extended to not just the first and second gen, but to the entire company. In a time where even Hololive managers did not know what to do, where there were basically no staff at all, Fubuki's eagerness to help and proactiveness has led her into becoming somewhat of pseudo-management, taking in some responsibilities of managers to get things going. In fact, there was a time that some people thought Fubuki was an executive of the company. That's what a lot of people presumed back then and even today. And there were some circumstances where we genuinely did see Fubuki take in some of those responsibilities, such as being the leader and MC of a lot of Hololive's PR and celebratory events like Holocomi, leading and being the MC of events, being the spokesperson for the company, being the one who caused the team to huddle. But, you know, it's not unusual for any startup company to have an original member to help out with a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, especially if they're just as invested as the CEO or some of the higher-ups. Eventually, even becoming managers themselves whenever some resources and some people need to be reallocated, or when the company's priorities change, or the role and passion the talent may have will shift. At the very least, however, Fubuki's say and influence in the company is massive, even if she isn't actually a pseudo-management of sorts. Her choices and opinions are perhaps the most valued, not just in the Hololive fanbase, but perhaps even by the company itself.
あ、そうなんだ。なるほどね。そう、だからポケーって入ってきて、今
So okay, so they just said that Mio and Fubuki brought on Okayu and Okay, I thought it was just Mio. Okay. See, I learned something. Oh, so this is interesting. Like to me so far, like I knew Fubuki was like I had a kind of idea of like the of how big Fubuki was, but like I'm realizing she did a lot more than what I was originally thinking.
こんなになりました。
ポケ
Like just like with just this little bit, I'm kind of realizing it's like, oh no, like Fubuki was actually she was in there.
ポケケ
でっかくなっちまったな、ずいぶんな。
ねえ、ありがとうございます、本当に。
The more influential and oldest instance of this was when Mio was roped into Hololive due to Fubuki being in it. Getting into the interview, Mio got in. There was a time when Hololive auditions were just not serious or official or streamlined, and from there, Mio and Fubuki referred Okayu to the company, and then Okayu referred Korone. Thus, the start of Hololive Gamers.
There we go. See, okay. So Fubuki brought on Mio, and then they both recommended Okayu, who recommended Korone. Got you. Okay. I'll probably forget that, like, again, because I've never been able to remember that. So, let's go.
Originally, it was supposed to be a group focused on gaming tournaments and such, and now it's one of the most popular VTuber groups in the entire world, and the root and the start of it all was Fubuki herself. Thus, why Fubuki is the leader of the group.
そうなんだよ。
なのでゲーマーズが生まれます。
A lot of you guys are going to complain you're heard or nepotism is okay when Hololive does it kind of spiel. And nepotism isn't necessarily bad, despite how many V-Shoujo and Nijisanji complainers scream that it is. My opinion and the fact of the matter, I think, is much more nuanced than
It's not a bad thing. Like, it's not. Vshoujo's nepotism, I think, gets the shit that it does because originally they said that they were going to bring on, like, you know, just all these indies, you know, and stuff like that. And then really all they did was, if you're friends with them, you can get in. Like, that is really the only reason that Vshoujo gets that kind of slack. If they had just outright said, like, this is just gonna be our little friends group, or, you know, if they never even said anything about if they were even gonna bring anybody on, you know, I don't think anybody would have cared.
that. Nepotism happens everywhere, there's pros and cons, but we won't go into that in this video.
やっぱそのこっちからしたらやっぱりなんか長みたいな。
In this case, like, in this case, like it works because, like, come on, like, obviously, Fubuki's been a big deal. Mio is extremely popular, and then Korone and Okayu are literally two, like, they are two of, if not, most of Hololive's biggest talents.
えそうそうそうそうそう
チームリーダーだったんだよね、
そうそう
完全に。
しかもやっぱゲマズの
そうだね
やっぱりね白神吹雪様だし、
ちゃんに
Oh yeah, if I remember, like, Fubuki is also put into gamers. I think a lot of, like, she is put into gamers, even though gamers is technically only like Mio, Korone, and Okayu. So that makes sense. Also, I love Subaru. Subaru is great.
育てられたまであるから。
In a time where Hololive, Nijisanji, or any of the big companies knew nothing of what was the right thing to do or what was wrong, in a time where not everybody was familiar with the technology and culture, the requirements, and the toll such a job would take on people's mental health, Fubuki was there for them, mentoring them. And speaking of being there for people and their mental health, when I said that Fubuki was there for the entire company, I meant all of the company, including Holostars. Holostars was in a dangerous situation, especially when your VTubers are labeled and branded as idols. Nevertheless, the CEO wanted a male group for the company, and a male group did come. Like Miyabi says, it was met with overwhelming pushback. Not a single Hololive member would even try to reach out to them or even speak their name. The first ones to really break this barrier, though, was actually Matsuri. Which is kinda cool actually, since Matsuri was the kind of VTuber that just does whatever the fuck she likes. And her fans knows that, and it also helped that she was a massive fan of Nijisanji, who had that kind of culture normalized. Fubuki, though, was also a supporter of this cause alongside Suisei and other Hololive VTubers, even today. Although she likens herself to be an idol, she does not necessarily like all the aspects of its cultures. One culture that she disagrees on, as we've established, is this divide between males and females. Not
Based. Absolutely based. Okay.
to spite the idol fans, but just because she does what she wants. There was also a moment in Hololive Gen 4's Tokoyami Towa's career where the girl essentially had a and out of panic for the idol fans who were screaming and complaining, she lied that it was her manager. After this whole backlash, Fugi decided to redirect a lot of this negativity and even poke fun at the no males allowed idol fans by
Oh my god, that is amazing. Okay, I'm liking Fubuki a lot more now. That is fucking fantastic. I love it.
broadcasting an announcement stream, making it seem like she would actually announce the fact that she had a boyfriend. But the announcement was just basically she raised a cat.
2、1、こちらです。はい。なんと私白神吹雪、猫を飼い始めました。
Fubuki was one of the first that steps up often in times of crises, or at least potential crises. One thing about VTuber fans is that a fair few of them, well, a lot of them, don't like it when the streamers are super late to their scheduled streams or when they miss a stream at all. Especially since this was a time where some members were oversleeping a lot on stream and getting late. A fair few were getting concerned for their health and some were getting upset. Such a case was what happened during a Marine and Shion collaboration, where they were late for 4
I did see this. This is a legendary clip right here.
entire hours. People would have been upset at this until your girl came over, pops up guns blazing, and decided to make the most out of the situation by making fun of them in a teasing way to redirect a lot of that negativity. Fubuki turned a mistake that Marine and Shion would have faced a lot of backlash for into an entire meme that gouged certain Hololive members' lateness for streams and using Shion and Marine as the metric. Fubuki essentially subverted potential backlash into a funny haha moment. But her biggest contribution to her own community and company was a matter between career versus companion, where she decided to sacrifice more than half of her audience and risk her
Where she sided with Coco.
career in order to do the right thing. There was a moment where Fubuki was the most subscribed Hololive member. The first member to explode was Hololive's founding member Tokinosora. Later, Fubuki surpassed her for all sorts of reasons, ranging from her ability to do skits, her being an absolute meme machine, all sorts of things. But where she stood out beyond all of that was over on Japan's neighboring country, China. There was a point in time where Cover Corp had a bigger Chinese market, and that was because of two people, Aqua and Fubuki. And when Cover wanted to explore that market, find a way to find a comfortable spot there, Fubuki was the one chosen to hold in the reins, at least from a marketing perspective. In 2019, she was essentially the poster child that Hololive had when it came to China and overseas expansion, because she was just that popular there. So much so that she was among the top 5 most popular VTubers in China come 2020, breaching 1 million subscribers even way before she reached half of that on YouTube. And that was a good thing. Because of that, Fubuki played a pivotal role in the growth and expansion of Hololive and VTubing throughout the rest of the world. It wouldn't even be an extreme exaggeration to say that she kinda saved Hololive. The biggest contribution, of course, being a collaboration with Azur Lane, one of the world's most popular gacha games at the time. And those that have been in the rabbit hole since that era knows the absolute role that Azur Lane played in the popularization and spread of VTubing to English-speaking regions. I just cannot emphasize enough how massive Fubuki's contribution to Hololive was, especially during the early CN and JP days. It wouldn't be an understatement that, again, Hololive would not have survived 2018 and 2019 without Fubuki. I mean, look at all these screenshots that happened before 2020 even came, that I'm bombarding the screen with right now. Come 2020, there was a fair few clips that elevated the status and spread the name of Hololive to EN.
Oh yeah, freaking Watame's internet was absolute dog water. Oh, and then the famous Miko clip that there are some people that legitimately are like, oh yeah, racism. It's just like, no, get off of Twitter.
The N-word moment from Sakura Miko, Let's Kill a Hoe from Tomoshika and Pikami, Coco being Coco, Korone being cute as a motherfucker, among many other things. And Fubuki was... Okay, yeah, Fubuki was popular in China. Fubuki saved Holo from bankruptcy, is the ultra god senpai that supported everyone, yada yada yada. What is that one instance that really challenged her to stick with Hololive, that challenged everything that superficially everybody would support? Well, we are about to get into that. The Kiryukoko Taiwan incident was a situation that tore apart China and Hololive. Once close and very loving communities became immediate foes because of one genuine mistake.
It's not even a mistake. Like, fucking, all she did was say fucking Taiwan, and China, had a nuclear West Taiwan had a nuclear meltdown.
Of course, I have full coverage of this from 2 years ago, but because of a recent subathon goal, I will be remaking it with the timeline that we have right now, among many other additions, so please expect that. But the gist is, the incident tore the Chinese and domestic and EN Hololive fanbase. Fubuki and Aqua most especially were in a fickle situation because they were the darling of the Chinese market. To a few loud and antagonistic Chinese fans, Fubuki and Aqua's stance was clear if they even engage with Coco in a positive way. And Fubuki did more than just interact with Coco offhandedly, they did a meme review collab.
Yeah, Fubuki not only made it a point to collab with Coco, Fubuki all but told them to go fuck off. Of course she's not actually going to say that because, that would, obviously she's not going to go that far, but essentially that's more or less what she did.
A month later. This had grave repercussions for Fubuki, because not only did she rapidly and massively bleed subscribers from her Bilibili account, but she also had those same aunties that spammed and harassed Coco, raiding and spamming her stream chat as well, constantly up her ass for an entire year, even till the end of 2021. The Chinese aunties was just not letting Fubuki go. Fubuki effectively decided to cut all ties with China, all for the sake of her friend, for the sake of Hololive. There's a saying peddled around by many fans who was there when she said it. She said, as long as I'm here, you can still put your faith in Hololive. And whenever Hololive would force her to say anything to support the company, Fubuki would quit. And it was a promise that a lot of fans remember and keep to this day, and for good reason.
Oh wow.
It's not an exaggeration to say that Fubuki has never let the fans down. Her character remains as steadfast as ever, still as supportive, still as vigilant.
So basically, she literally set herself up as like, as long as like I'm here, it means Hololive is still doing good. Is literally what she just set up.
When she was surpassed as the most subscribed talent in Hololive, when Hololive grew as big as it did, one can guess that she might have sighed a breath of relief. To Fubuki, being the pillar of Hololive
I wouldn't want to be at the top. Like, that has to be like just nerve wracking.
was a heavy responsibility, a greatness she debuted in, achieved, and was thrust upon. And now, while perhaps it may be a little bittersweet that the EN members, that some JP members, that those not within her immediate circle may never need her the way they used to, that's a good thing. It means the company can now stand reliably without the aid of somebody like Fubuki constantly running around to help or fix and manage or deal with things. It means Hololive became better, and she contributed to making Hololive better. In a way that we may never truly understand behind the scenes. Perhaps it's just me overthinking, but to me, if I were in such shoes, it's probably bittersweet. But if it means she can have fun, take things on the pace that she prefers, then I think that's the best. Heck, we don't even actually know the circumstances behind her work anymore these days. Fubuki barely rested when she was given this great responsibility. In fact, her manager had to tell her to take a break back in 2020 because she never even once took a break since she got recruited. It's hard to be Fubuki, to always keep a straight face when you have to announce something heartbreaking, such as the termination of her fellow genmate, Yozora Mel, such as the termination for Rusha, among many others.
Russia ended up being like, that one ended up being a good thing. That turned into a massive like shit show. Mel was a completely different story. Like, Mel and Rushia's termination was complete night and day. Rushia literally did it to her, like, they both kind of did something similar. The only difference was they were real quick to drop Rushia, and it ended up working out. Whereas with Mel, like, like Hololive themselves, like, made it clear that they actually didn't want to fire Mel, but because they had to keep that precedence, they didn't have a choice in the matter, even though they really just didn't want to.
Others, to keep it all in, to feel that you must not break or show weakness to balance her loyalties of her friends and community and her career.
Also, I think almost all of Mel's fan base, like, just followed her over to her new account too, so it ended up working out. Like, she's still doing okay as far as I know.
And her company. Again, she has never let the community down, so while she stays in this company, while she stays having fun with the friends that she has, making the most of her time, cherish this little fox. The twilight of VTubers come around to VTubers of her career, history, and age. Of VTubers that's been around for as long as she was, and many VTubers become forgotten. So, don't let her be forgotten. Remember the efforts of Shirakami Fubuki. Her contribution, her action, alongside many, created the industry as we know it as. Without her, there wouldn't even been a first gen. No Aki, no Korane, no Okayu, no Azur Lane, no expansion to the west that we know it as. No Hololive. A mentor, a pioneer, a pillar, an idol, a businesswoman, a gamer. But most importantly, Fubuki is a friend.
Great video. Link, obviously linked in the description. As always, go show it and go show Nousagi some love. I learned quite a bit. I knew Fubuki was somewhat of a big deal. I didn't realize how much stuff she actually did. Okay. I am educated. Let's go. Anyway, this was fun. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace!